murder of Shanquella Robinson, which occurred on October 29th, 2022. And those who are responsible for her murder may have slipped through the cracks. She was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, and only 25 years old when she was killed while on vacation in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Her family said that her future was very bright, and it's very obvious from what we know about her. By 2022, Shanquella was already running 2 successful businesses and had big plans for the future. One of her businesses is called Exquisite Babies, where she ran a braiding service for children's hair, and the other was Exquisite Boutique, where she sold women's clothing. Shanquella was killed while on vacation in Mexico with 6 of her friends, but I'm going to be referring to them just as the others because I don't think they deserve the title of friends. So it was Shanquella and these 6 others who planned a trip to Cabo San Lucas to celebrate the birthdays of 2 of the people on the trip. Their names are Dejanay Jackson and Nazir Wiggins. Shanquella and the others met in college, but from what I can tell, the other 6 were pretty good friends with one another before befriending Shanquella. It sounds like she was sort of the 7th person to join this group. However, the dynamic between this group of people is still kind of confusing at this point. Although one person in this group, Khalil Cook, was especially close to Shanquella. Some people say the 2 of them were best friends, but like I said, it really means nothing in the aftermath of her death. So the trip to Cabo began on October 28th, 2022, when 6 of the 7 total guests flew into Mexico, and they were staying at a resort called the Cabo Villas, and they rented out the Villa Linda 32 property. The 7th person in the group, Nazir Wiggins, didn't arrive until the following day, October 29th, but I will get into that later because it's been a heavily debated piece of the puzzle. Their first day on vacation seemed relatively drama-free. Luckily, a lot of what they did that night was documented by Shanquella on her Instagram story. So that gives us some sort of insight into what it was like. A lot of it appears like regular Instagram stories from a vacation, very lighthearted and fun. However, there is one story in particular that was posted on her Instagram story that is extremely disturbing. It was posted at 8:45 p.m. and shows Shanquella completely passed out on a hammock. And this was taken on her phone, but was recorded and uploaded by Khalil. And what makes this so disturbing is the commentary that he makes in it.
Got out first. Buddy, she too full.
And even though he seems to be joking by his tone of voice, it just really rubs me the wrong way considering what ends up happening to her. So aside from the video of her lying in the hammock, there are also some posts made to her Instagram story later on after she wakes up. We also know that at some point during the night, she made a call to her mom, Salamandra, and she told her that they were all getting ready for dinner and that there was a private chef making them tacos. And Salamandra said that her daughter sounded happy, and she told her that she would call her the next day. That night, Shanquella also posted about how she and the others played a drinking game, but in less than 24 hours, everything changed. The following day, October 29th, was supposed to be another day of partying and enjoying the villa for Shanquella. Whether or not you believe the others planned on having a normal, fun day is up to you at this point. Sometime that morning, a video that was recorded on Shanquella's phone shows her walking around the villa looking for the others. In the video, you can hear her asking where everyone's at and that it doesn't take that long to get, presumably because they were all going to go skinny dipping or something, I'm not sure. But when she does find them, they all appear to be in the same room without her.
She told me I'm going to keep it hot. You going to keep it hot? What?
I'll keep my hot benefits that I don't want to wear because
They, what Go said, they croup.
the one that's like mediocre is in my check-in. I can't wear them.
This video is very eerie and weird in hindsight, and many people out there have speculated, of course this is just speculation at this point, that the group of people were making some sort of plan without her there. And if you look at this video, you really can't ignore the body language of the other women in the room and just how off their vibe is compared to Shanquella. Shanquella, on the other hand, seems to be in really good spirits, but everyone else seems to be on a different page than her. Again, this doesn't prove anything, but it is certainly strange and it rubs me the wrong way, and I know many people agree, especially when you consider that not long after this, Shanquella would be suffering from alcohol poisoning, or at least that's what the others said. Shortly after 2 p.m. that day, Khalil makes a call to Shanquella's mother and let her know that her daughter wasn't feeling well, specifically that she drank too too much alcohol. He basically told her that they were going to take care of her and that a doctor was on their way to help her. And there really wasn't much she could do besides believe what Khalil said and hope that her daughter recovered quickly. Now, during the time that the doctor was trying to help Shanquella, Khalil is keeping Salamandra up to date on what's going on. But essentially, he was just saying the same thing over and over. And then a few hours later, Salamandra receives one final phone call from Khalil, who broke the news that her daughter had passed away. And according to her, she felt that Khalil showed no emotion when saying this to her. And this was someone that was close to Shanquella and their whole family. And then rather than stay in Mexico and try to help make arrangements for Shanquella's body to be brought back to the United States, the others pack up all of their and leave the country. All they brought back of Shanquella was her bags, which Khalil went and dropped off at her parents' house. And when he dropped it off, Khalil told Salamandra and Shanquella's father Bernard the same thing that he had told Salamandra earlier. But from the beginning, Salamandra wasn't convinced anyone was telling her the truth, because in the first few days following her daughter's death, several people from that group came to visit her, and each one had a slightly different story of what happened. Some of them said that she had first been found unconscious in the bathroom by a maid, and that's when they found out that she had alcohol poisoning. But others in the group said that they found her in the bed unconscious, and that's when they realized she had alcohol poisoning. And obviously, when you have a group of people with conflicting stories, you got to know something is up. And then both Salamandra and Bernard received additional information that helped them confirm their suspicions. The Washington Post reports that while Bernard was trying to reach the resort to coordinate the return of his daughter's body, he was placed on the phone with a woman who worked in management. And he said that he spent days trying to reach someone who could speak English. Now, this is a bit of a confusing bit, because it seems like it should have been easier for Bernard to be able to reach someone and speak to them at the resort. They have a lot of tourists. It seems like someone on the team for this resort would speak English and be able to speak to him in this circumstance. Obviously, it is possible that no one spoke English, and so that's why they had a hard time communicating with him. However, it does make you think maybe no one wanted to talk to the father of the girl who had just died on their property. Is it possible that they knew something that he didn't? I mean, I genuinely don't know. No one does, but I thought I'd mention it, and I'm curious if you guys also thought it was weird that it took him days to find someone willing to talk to him about getting his daughter's body back. But finally, Bernard was able to talk to a woman, and she told him that Shanquella did not, in fact, die of alcohol poisoning, that she died due to breaking her neck. And Bernard said this was the first person to be honest with them about what happened to their daughter. Then in an interview with ABC, Salamandra said that she received an anonymous call stating that there had been a fight between Shanquella and the others. This call was pretty cryptic, but Salamandra at that point knew that there was more to the story that they were not being told. She even tried confronting the others about this anonymous call she got that talked about the fight, and they still denied it at that point. But by November 5th, the death certificate comes out, and the lies are at that point starting to be exposed. The Mexican Secretariat of Health performed Shanquella's autopsy on November 4th, and the following day, they revealed the death certificate, which stated the real cause of death was severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. In simpler terms, she suffered from a broken neck or a dislocated neck. I will say no toxicology report has been released yet, so we might learn more later. It also says that the time between injury and death was only 15 minutes, and that her approximate time of death was 3 p.m. This completely goes against the other story that she was being treated by a doctor for hours before her death. Also, remember how I said the others came and visited and kept in contact with the Robinson family after Shanquella's death? Well, that all just suddenly stopped after the death certificate came out. They all went silent. The story did start to get picked up by a few more news outlets, but it was mostly local outlets and smaller stations, and her family would really have to plead for the coverage that this case deserved. Also, around this time, her family had to start making arrangements for her funeral, which was held on November 19th. And before they could even lay their daughter to rest, a video surfaced on November 16th that shook up everything we knew about Shanquella's death and confirmed what the death certificate was saying. Of course, I will not be playing this video due to the graphic nature, but you can see a fight happening between Dejanay and Shanquella, and it is brutal. You can see Shanquella is being viciously attacked while she is in the master bedroom of the villa, and she is clearly not fighting back. The attack is being filmed by at least 2 people, and Khalil's voice can be heard while he records saying, "Quella, can you even fight back?" To which she responds, "No." They had to beg police to finally take her death more seriously. And as this video began receiving millions of views and the attention that it deserved from the beginning, a true investigation of her death really started to kick off at this point. Mexican authorities first announced their investigation into her case on November 17th. Obviously, this video has become a major piece of evidence because realistically, how else would Shanquella have broken her neck? And her name wasn't released at first, but we now know that the person in the video attacking Shanquella is Dejanay Jackson, and she has now become a major focus in the investigation. So I want to talk about the issue of this crime being committed across national borders. From what I understand, because the 6 individuals who are allegedly involved with her death are U.S. citizens, the United States does have the authority to prosecute them. The U.S. is not obligated to turn the case over to Mexican officials. However, Mexican authorities also have the right to take the case on. In order for the U.S. to prosecute this case, Mexican authorities would have to turn over everything that they have on the case so far and cooperate with the United States. We now know that Mexican authorities are taking this case on. However, the FBI is also running their own investigation. In order to extradite a U.S. citizen, Mexican authorities would have to submit a request for the person responsible for Shanquella's death to be arrested in the United States. That would be step number 1. And we do know that they have submitted an arrest warrant for an unnamed female, but it's pretty much known that this person is Dejanay Jackson because clearly she is the one seen brutally attacking Shanquella in the video. This request would then be evaluated by 2 major U.S. departments, including the State Department and the Office of Internal Affairs. And once these departments conclude that the findings are sufficient in the arrest warrant request, the information is then forwarded to a district judge who would then issue the warrant. Now, this person or persons would be arrested and a hearing would take place where all evidence would be presented. Then, if a judge deems that the information is legally sufficient, the person or persons would be extradited to face prosecution in Mexico. I know it's a little confusing. It was very confusing to me as well. However, it's important to understand because it's not a quick process, and we're skipping forward a little bit in the timeline here, but the warrant was actually granted, although the arrest itself has not been made, at least not that we can confirm at this point. And I think I can speak for the majority of people here that even though there was only one person seen actually attacking Shanquella, that the others who were standing around watching and filming are also responsible for her death. But going back a little bit, remember how I said way earlier, one of the people, Nazir Wiggins, showed up a day late? Well, this is another important piece of the story. He has publicly stated that when he arrived to the villa at 3:30, Shanquella was still alive. That contradicts the death certificate saying that she died at 3 p.m. As far as I understand it, just prior to his arrival, like as he was pulling up to the villa, one of the others called him and told him about Shanquella's condition. However, he still is adamant that when he arrived, she was still alive. He said that it was clear that she drank way too much alcohol, and from the moment he got there, he was by her side. It has been revealed that there were visible signs on Shanquella's body that she had been attacked, including large knots on her head, a busted lip, and bruised, bloodshot eyes. So if she had been this visibly beaten, wouldn't he have seen that she had clearly been beaten and that her condition was clearly not due to alcohol poisoning? So clearly his character is very questionable at this point. I really wish that there was more to report on at this point, more that could be confirmed. I feel pretty confident that justice is going to be served here, and I hope we see that sooner than later. I do hope that I will be recording another video in the future reporting on justice being served. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Stay safe out there.